Hey, what's up? Hello everyone, welcome back to Fantasy Filmball for the second edition of the Cannes Film Festival vlog. We are back out on the streets. I got home at, I want to say 3 a.m. last night, got to sleep by 3:45, woke up to get tickets at 7 a.m. Now it is like 8:20 and I'm already out walking to my first screening. I'm running on 3 hours of sleep. We're gonna see how that goes for me today. But I've got a big day ahead. Most excited for Fatherland. We're all hoping that this is big, that this is something really worth paying attention to. Now, if you didn't see the first video, go back and check that out. First masterpiece of the festival already here. That is Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. Otherwise, we are just getting started with the festival this year. There is so much to be seen. So the first movie of the day for me is Dua. This is a film from Kosovo by the director of the Oscar shortlisted film Hive. I don't know much about the story of this one, so I'm going in a little bit blind, but I think that's the best way to do a festival experience for the most part. But I will talk to you after the movie.
It's fine.
I just saw Dua, the second film by Blerta Basholi, the Kosovoan filmmaker. Dua is a very personal story. It's clear that with this film, she went back into her own past. It's a coming-of-age story about a 13-year-old girl named Dua, who lives with her family in the midst of the Serbian offensive happening within Kosovo. Dua is experiencing all of these typical coming-of-age events in her life. She's waiting to get her first period, she's going to dances, she's flirting with boys that she has a crush on. But in the backdrop of all of this, there's the fear that if you walk down the wrong street at the wrong time, Serbian police might just happen to end your life. It's a very interesting study of coming of age interrupted, and it just makes you think about all of the other coming of age stories in the world, all of the kids who have had to grow up in circumstances similar. How does one come of age when the world around you just seems to be on fire? There were a few elements that I thought were a little bit underbaked, some things that could have done with a little bit more developing, but for the most part, this is a very thoughtful and a pretty different coming-of-age film from the rest. While I don't know if this one's going to leave a lasting, long-term impression on me, it's definitely one that I'd recommend looking out for, especially if you just want to learn more about the tension between Serbia and Kosovo. I love when a movie can teach me something, when I can learn something. I come to a film festival to have my perspective widened, and this film definitely introduced new things to me. Anyways, I am camping out in the Palais for the next little bit because I have some editing to do. And also, it's windy outside and I can't record videos because, stupid me, I brought my camera and my microphone, but I left my camera battery and battery charger at home. So I am recording on my iPhone again, despite the fact that I really didn't have to do that, didn't want to do that. All right, going into Nagi Notes. I just got out of Nagi Notes, the Koji Fukada competition entry here. It was dull, very small film, a very interesting selection for competition because it was just such a tiny little movie. This film is about two former sister-in-laws who have remained close since one of them divorced the other one's brother. They've remained close and they get together. One of them is an artist and the other one often will sit for her sculptures and be a model for her. One of them lives in a small rural town called Nagi. The other one lives in Tokyo and visits from time to time. And this film is about the duration of one of those visits. There's a lot of very long scenes in which one of the women just sculpts silently for minutes at a time. And I will say there's a lot of very small beauties in this film. There's little moments that are so nice, they're so lovely. It is a pleasant film to watch, but for me, it just didn't really land as something interesting. It just kind of happened and then it finished. It's just a nice little movie. I don't think I'm going to think about it even a few hours from now, but it was nice while it lasted. It sort of has the same atmosphere as some Ozu movies, but with less substance. There's just not as much in here as those films, but it has a similar sort of attitude towards life. While I'm down here briefly, I should just show you guys a little bit of what the market looks like. Essentially, there are 2 floors to the market. On the top floor, people are trying to sell films that are already made, selling movies to streaming, trying to get different distributors in different territories to pick them up. On the downstairs floor, you get a lot more of different countries trying to pitch. Come and film in our country. Come and take advantage of our tax incentives. So downstairs, it's a lot of trying to create production. Upstairs is a lot of trying to sell production. This part is brand new to me. I've never explored it before. I'm really exploring it this year because I'm producing so many films this year that are from around the world, so I gotta learn as much as I can. All right, Arno, we are seated to see what's movie?
Die My Love?
Die My Love. Right, Fatherland.
It's not gonna be a thing, dude.
It is Fatherland time. Could not be more excited for this one. I think now's the make or break for like, is this the big international movie of the year that we were thinking it would be?
Yeah, I think, regardless, I think it's gonna be a really great film.
Did you watch the clip that released earlier today?
No.
I didn't either, because I was like, why would I watch it? I'm seeing it in 3 hours. I'm gonna be curious actually after seeing the movie to watch the clip, because this is a sub 90-minute movie and they released a 1.5-minute clip. That's like around 2% of the movie.
Yeah, hopefully the best film of the competition so far.
Hopefully. That's not a very high bar.
No, that's not a high bar.
Not a high bar to clear. I'd be really, really disappointed if it was not the best of the 3 that have played at this point. Anyways, though, we're gonna see you on the other side of Fatherland.
Please turn off your mobile telephones before the performance.
Wow.
I was gonna try to film this outside, but no, wind is too strong. I just saw Fatherland, which I absolutely loved. I thought it was fantastic. This is much smaller than I think anyone expects the film to be. It is really just a small slice of a road trip between the famous German author Thomas Mann and his daughter Erica, who is also his personal assistant and his translator, and basically everything. He's returning to Germany for the first time since before the Second World War, when he fled. Since the war, he has been called a traitor. He's been called a coward for abandoning his country, for not fighting for his morals. And now Germany is split down the middle, west and east, capitalist and communist. And he is receiving 2 awards. He has to travel first to Frankfurt in the west and then to Weimar in the east to receive his prizes. And in both cases, the capitalist and the communist governments are sort of courting him for approval. And the film is really just a series of conversations about art and about politics, and it's an examination of not just Germany after the war, but an examination of how countries move on after a tragic event, after something as earth-shatteringly terrible as the Second World War. How does a country rebuild? How do they patch up what has been left behind? It's dealing with a lot of interesting topics, and it's doing a lot in showing you these systems, the way that things have changed, the way that things have healed, so to speak. It doesn't spend a lot of time saying anything about like, oh, this is the capitalist system, this is the communist system. It just shows you the difference between the two of them. It's beautifully shot, beautifully directed. Sandra Hüller, absolutely incredible. She has multiple scenes where she's dealing with grief that are everything that it's trying to do, it succeeds at. It's the type of movie that you're gonna watch way more with your head than with your heart, which is something that I know I sometimes love. I know others are going to be left cold by this. They're going to be left kind of wondering what the hell this was all about anyways. For me, I think this is going to be one of the movies I'm most looking forward to revisiting multiple times after this, because there's just so many layers to the text of this film. I think it's going to be an incredibly rewarding film to rewatch. Now I'm back outside in the wind again. I'm such an idiot. I was supposed to have a microphone here with a windsock and like a nicer camera, and then I just fucked up and I don't have any of that. So now you got wind sound. Very annoying, but I can also just go inside. Oh, I was in the background of a photo. I'm gonna go see Traces next, animated movie, and I'm gonna be seeing my first film in the Salle Agnesvarda.
True that animation cinema is cinema.
True.
Pretty good.
It is the end of the day, and sadly, I did not get a ticket to see The Devils. So instead, here I am. I'm just gonna talk about the last thing I saw, and then I'm gonna wrap things up. So I just saw Tangles, an animated film directed by Leah Nelson. It's her first feature film, and it's based on a graphic novel. It stars Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Bryan Cranston, Seth Rogen, who also produces. It's a pretty stacked cast for such an indie production, but honestly, I can kind of see why this all fit together the way that it did and how they got such an all-star cast on it. It is a really sweet, very sad movie. This is a story of a young lesbian woman living in San Francisco, working for a magazine, drawing little illustrations, and she ends up having to return home when her mother gets sick. As her mother begins to forget things around the house, leave the bathtub running, leave the iron on, it becomes clear that her mother is dealing with some sort of degenerative brain disease. And the film follows this young cartoonist as she sort of tries to live a double life. She really tries her best to have her life and career and her relationship in San Francisco while also flying back to take care of her mother in Maine every few weeks. It's a film that really understands that comedy and tragedy walk hand in hand, and that you can only make a film truly sad and moving by making it also full of happiness and joy. It's a film that in equal measures will make you smile before breaking your heart. Some people might accuse it of being overly sappy or manipulative or sentimental. I can see where that would come from, but for me it worked. It hit me to the core. I was weeping by the end of it. It had me completely. At first, I was worried though. The beginning little bit I thought was pretty shaky. The jokes weren't landing. The animation style didn't quite click for me. But maybe about a third of the way through, when the illness is introduced, the film really kicks into another gear. I think it really starts to understand who its characters are, where they're going, what they need. If you need a good cry, this one's gonna do it for you. Holy shit. So I'm walking alongside the Croisette Beach, where there are tons of parties happening every night. Do I know how to get invited to them yet? No, I don't. I don't. I would love to know. I don't know. Because that sounds awesome. I want to be there. Anyways, I'll just wrap it up for tonight. I think that there's nothing else for me to say or do or whatever. I'm just stalling. I'm killing time. So that means I'll talk to you in the morning. It is a gray day here. Friday. This is day 4, and today is I think my most packed day. I have 6 screenings scheduled, almost back to back to back to back. I am going to be going. It is currently 8 a.m. I am going to be out until I think 1 a.m. It is going to be a long one, but plenty to look forward to today. I decided to wear a tux today, even though I don't need to. I'm not seeing a premiere that requires it. But I figure if I'm seeing the premiere of the new Hamaguchi movie, I might as well look nice. Anyways, though, I'm currently on my way to Parallel Tales. I've heard terrible things, seen it anyways, and I'm not late, but I'm cutting it close. So I should probably put my goddamn phone down and just focus on making it there. Just got out of Parallel Tales, running to my next show because I have less than 10 minutes to get there. As I rush down to the next one, let me just quickly talk about Parallel Tales. It's not as bad as people say. That said, it is way too long. This is based on Krzysztof Kieslowski's Decalogue 6. So Farhadi has adapted a short film about love into a long film about something. I don't know. It follows the story of a young man who moves in with sort of a reclusive older woman. She's a writer who kind of stares out her window and writes about the people across from her. And this young man that moves in with her sort of becomes equally obsessed with the people living across, which is a sort of Foley recording studio. And there's 3 people that work in this Foley recording studio. And honestly, this film about voyeurism, it just goes on too long. It's never really clear why these people are obsessed with these other people, and the drama that comes from it, it just doesn't quite click. I was kind of struggling at times to stay awake during this film. It's not the disaster that everyone's talking about, in my opinion. It's just dull. But anyways, I rushed here super quick. So glad I made it. I'm gonna be seeing Congo Boy next, one of the Un Certain Regard titles.
It's fine.
So I just got out of Congo Boy, which is a film from the Central African Republic, directed by Rafiki Fariala. And this film traces the story of a young man in the Central African Republic who is from the Congo and has to keep this secret, or else he will likely end up in prison or dead. If the authorities find out who he is, where he's from, he will suffer the consequences. But in the meantime, he wants to be a singer. He wants to be an MC. He wants to get up on stage, and he wants to pursue fame. And with that comes exposure, and with that comes more danger and more risk of being found out who he is. His parents are already both in prison. He does his best to support his family. And the film kind of explores some very well-trod territory. Culturally speaking, it's very fresh. I've never seen a film from the Central African Republic before. It's not really a big filmmaking country, as opposed to somewhere like Senegal or Nigeria, where the film industries are massive and very important. Central African Republic doesn't really have a legacy of filmmaking, and so this is really interesting to see a film here at Cannes from this country sort of breaking out in such a major way. I had no context around the sort of conflict between the Congo and the Central African Republic, and so learning about all of this was very interesting on a cultural level. But in terms of just pure storytelling, the story of a young refugee boy wanting to be famous, wanting to be a singer, it's all territory that I think has been explored a lot in many other films. And Congo Boy doesn't really bring that much of a fresh perspective, at least to the storytelling aspect of it. Again, culturally speaking, there's a lot here that's very fresh, very new, things that I hadn't seen before. But just in terms of what the film is actually about, it's a little bit been there, done that. All of a sudden, I think Sudan. I think my most anticipated of the festival, your most anticipated of the festival.
We're gonna see Hamaguchi.
We're at the world premiere of this?
Yeah.
The press screening starts afterwards, so like we get to see it before they do. I'm hoping that I can make it through because I've had a rough morning. I fully give you permission. If I start drifting at any point, elbow me.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay,
Full
I
permission.
will, with pleasure.
Mesdames et messieurs, Ryosuke Hamaguchi.
Wow.
What's the vibe after all of a sudden, guys?
Blown away.
This is the new film by Ryosuke Hamaguchi, filmmaker behind Drive My Car, Evil Does Not Exist, Happy Hour, many other films. This movie is his first film set outside of Japan, though there's a few scenes where they do end up going to Japan. The film is about the administrator of an elderly care home, and she has instilled this sort of program within the care home called Humanitude, which a lot of the staff are not completely happy about. You know, the whole idea of it is treating these elderly people as humans and not just as like shells. And her perspective kind of continues to shift once she meets Mari. And Mari, played by Tao Okamoto, is a theater director. She's Japanese, lives in France, and the two of them have sort of a coincidental meeting and then truly bond over a lot of their shared ideas. And after Mary, the main character, goes to Mari's show, the two of them spend about like 18 hours straight just walking around Paris, just spending time together. It's a bit of like a before sunrise-esque moment where they walk around the city, they talk about life, about death, about everything, and we learn that Mari is actually suffering from stage 4 cancer, which she doesn't really feel at the moment, but her doctors have told her that when it comes for her, it'll be like all of a sudden a switch flips and she's on death's door. So she doesn't know how much time she has left of quality life. And Mary invites Mari to come and join her at the care facility. And from there, the film is really this beautiful ensemble piece about the facility itself, about the patients, about the nurses, and about the connection, the friendship, the deep mutual love that these two women have for each other. The film is just so patient throughout its 3-hour runtime, but what I think is so beautiful about it is that it takes a lot of that time not to explore more plot, but to really build the institution that we're taking place in. It reminds me a lot of the documentaries of both Frederick Wiseman and Claire Simon. Both of those filmmakers are really interested in exploring institutions. Frederick Wiseman made a career out of exploring like libraries and hospitals and schools, and Claire Simon is kind of the French equivalent. And this film is sort of like a fictional version, a narrative version of one of those movies. It is really primarily interested in showing us this care facility and the sort of unique and very humanist way that they approach things. I will say the first 90 minutes of it can be a little too academic. There's like a 20-minute long scene, at least it felt like 20 minutes, maybe that's overshooting it, 10 at least, where the characters are just talking about economic theory and capitalism, and they're drawing on a whiteboard and explaining concepts. And there's a lot of moments like that in the first half that kind of lost me, where I was like, we're just watching characters explaining things to each other. But at a certain point, it lets go of that. You know, it stops being a film about people telling each other things and starts being a film about people experiencing things together. To me, that's where cinema is at its greatest. I don't want cinema to tell me things, I want to experience things as part of a film. And honestly, that's what this movie ends up doing best. And as always, right after finishing this video, I'm rushing off to my next, which is going to be John Travolta's movie, Propeller One-Way Night Coach. Which honestly I was not planning to see, but it's only 60 minutes. What is there to lose? There's nothing to lose. It's a 60-minute movie. I did, however, cancel my 11 p.m. screening of Gentle Monster just because I need to go and edit and I need to sleep. I was too sleepy in the first 2.5 movies of the day. I'd rather not be sleepy tomorrow. So I'm going home a little bit earlier than expected and gonna do some editing.
Of the festival and the team of the Cannes Film Festival, and I'm sure you all agree with that. Didier, we have decided to give to John Travolta a Palme d'Or d'honneur.
fine.
I had to leave early from Propeller one-way night coach. I think I left with like 3 or 4 minutes left, but I'm on my way over to another film, so I had to go. They started it late because they were like, oh, hey, John Travolta, surprise, Palm. Good for him. He seemed very genuinely happy. And look, the movie was really sweet. It was cute. It felt genuine and very unpolished in a way that honestly I think made it a little bit better. Like, there was no conflict whatsoever in this film. Like, this was not a piece of drama. This was like a fancy little vanity project. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Like, when it comes down to it, was this a good movie? Probably not. Was it enjoyable? Yeah. Is this the type of thing that, like, your mom is gonna want to turn on and just completely tune out and not watch? Yeah. It's cute and it's full of technical issues. But honestly, it's charming to me. It's very charming that someone as rich and as well known in the film industry could put together a film that's this rough around the edges. There's like a real handmade quality to it that I thought was sweet and surprising. Frankly, at a film festival, you need those light, nice movies because so many of the films are dark and sad and slow and challenging. Sometimes you need a movie that is the opposite of challenging, and this was that. But I did leave early so that I could get over for my last screening of the day at the Director's Fortnight, which is going to be The Diary of a Chambermaid, Radu Jude's new film, which I'm hearing incredible things about. Makes it even more confusing that this film is not in competition. So I will talk to you after the movie. Maybe I'll talk to you before the movie, depending on if Arnaud or Pierre have something to say. All right, made it to Radu Jude and new friend, Zinc. How's it going, Zinc? This is Zinc, legend around these parts. And Zinc, what is your most anticipated film of the rest of the festival?
Gareth.
And do you have a Palme d'Or pick right now, Zinc?
I think all of a sudden it's my Palme d'Or right now. It's really great. I really love it.
All right, thank you, Zinc. We'll talk again later.
Yeah,
It's fine.
All right, it is the end of the day, and I got back home before recording this last video. So I saw Radu Jude's new film, The Diary of a Chambermaid, a new adaptation of a classic novel. It's been adapted many, many times before, but never by a comedic troll, a shit poster like Romanian filmmaker Radu Jude, who's known for his films Bad Luck Banging or Loony Porn, which is an insane movie, Dracula, which is an insane movie, and Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World, which is an insane movie. He makes a lot of, I use the term shit posts, they truly are shit posts. A lot of his films are so absurd in form. He's a really fun, very interesting filmmaker. And this, outside of Continental 25, is probably his most normal film. There's not a lot of shitposting going on here. And in a way, that's a little disappointing because what I come to a Radu Jude movie for is I want to see what sort of mischief his mind conjures. And this, while it has some funny lines, some funny bits, it doesn't have the mischief. I want the mischief. Give me the mischief. Also, this is his third film in a row shot on an iPhone, and while it really worked in Continental in a very interesting way, and in Dracula, it sort of added to the lo-fi sort of making fun of AI and late-stage capitalism of it all. But in this one, I don't quite see the purpose as much as I have in the previous two. It basically just feels like he has settled into a groove and he's gonna keep making movies with the iPhone, even if there's no real textual purpose for it. As a whole, the film was fine. You know, it did what I think it needed to do, but it didn't go above or beyond. And because I'm so used to Radu Jude really surprising me in various ways, I was a little bit let down by this. The audience loved it though. They were laughing like crazy. For me, the comedy of this one didn't quite land the way that I'd hope, so it was a bit of a miss for me. But with that, it is now the end of this 2-day long video. Hopefully I get this out promptly because I'm sure people want to know about Fatherland, about all of a sudden whatever my thoughts are on these. So I'm in a rush to get this out. I'll just quickly say, at this point, all of a sudden, frontrunner for the Palm, for sure. I could really see this jury going head over heels for it. Specifically, Chloe Zhao, I think will really love what All of a Sudden has to offer. But all that said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. As always, my name's Matt. This has been Fantasy Filmball.